Hello, friends, and welcome into NFL Daily, made possible today by Manscaped. Head over to manscaped.com/chat, and you'll save 20% and free shipping on all their great men's grooming products. As we always do, we'll make sure everyone live on YouTube, live on Facebook, can actually click that notification and join us for the live show. So, we will ask you guys some questions throughout today's video, giving you the opportunity to chime in. We'll start with this one. I want you guys to shout out your city for me. Get your votes in right now. Where you guys watching from? And hello, John Simon, I see in there as well. So shout out your city. We, of course, myself and producer Jeremy here, are in Dallas. I see 818, not a city. It's a zip code, but I appreciate the effort there. Or area code, whatever. I see Seattle, Maysville, Burleson. I have no idea where Burleson is. Is that in Texas? All right, I don't know. Oh, okay. Well, I don't ever go in that direction. South of Fort Worth. Tampa, Fresno, Seattle, Dallas from Rashard Lee. Fort Pierce, more Seattle. Chatsworth, Zimbabwe from Food Review, yes. A couple more Seattles in there. San Francisco, Albany, Kansas City. West Lansing, Michigan, Nolensville, that's in Tennessee. Chatsworth is in California. Hattiesburg, San Antonio, Tampa, Dallas, Kansas City, Charlotte, Shelby, all those coming in here where you guys are at. Now, we'll let you guys talk some fantasy here, at least briefly, as we get ready for this live show. Who are you going to take? Let's say you have the number one overall pick. Who are you going with here? You're going with Christian McCaffrey? Type in CM. You're going in Derrick Henry? Type in DH. Taking Dalvin Cook? We'll type in DC. Or if you want somebody else, type in O, and maybe let us know who that other person is. So, producer Jeremy, you got the number one overall pick. Who are you taking here? He says Alvin Kamara. So, for producer Jeremy, they're forgetting he's muted, and then took a nice long time to actually answer the question. So, you got to be quick there, Chugs. Otherwise, I'm not going to hear you. Or you can unmute yourself. There you go. There you go. You unmuted yourself there. Appreciate that. Let's see what we got here. I see a lot of DHs. Derrick Henry. I see an other for Nick Chubb. I don't mind the Chubb pick there. God, I wish Kareem Hunt wasn't there. It would make it so much easier. DH John Simon. Burnin' Spade says, oh, he's going full homer. Calvin Ridley. Appreciate that. Food Review says Alvin Kamara in there. I see a Chris Carson from Shanav. Bold. JG says O for Zeke. A couple DHs, not that many CMs, good amount of others. Pretty evenly split there, so keep those votes coming. CM for Christian McCaffrey. Type in DH for Derrick Henry. DC for Dalvin Cook, or O for other. Now, who do you guys think is the most underrated team in the NFL? One stipulation I'm throwing in here right now. You cannot pick your favorite team. We all know that you think your favorite team is underrated. So instead, you got to pick a team that you're not a fan of. Somebody else. Who do you think is the most underrated team in the NFL? We'll give shout-outs here. I see Chargers, Cardinals, Raiders. Someone says, Shanav says Broncos, but that's underrated. Denver, Patriots, Washington, Dolphins, Rams, Cardinals, Chargers. A couple more Cardinals in there. Rams, Raiders, Dolphins, Patriots, Rams, Washington, and the Cardinals with some popular votes in there. I see Browns, Dolphins. John says no one. Respect. Cincinnati, a couple Patriots in there right now. How times have changed. Patriots now underrated. Crazy, right? Jags, Cowboys. Okay, Rashad, you're a Cowboys fan. I said no picking your favorite team. Dolphins, Jags, Jets. Another Jacksonville in there. Bears are in there from Justin. I see Chargers is overrated. More Patriots, more Jets, a Bears in there, and a Seattle Seahawks. So we're all over the map as I mostly expected. All right, now I want you guys to let me know in the comments if you think the Falcons will end up trading away Julio Jones. Get your votes in right now. Type in Y for yes or type in N for no, and we'll give shout-outs here. We will also break down, by the way, later on in today's live show, whether or some potential destinations for Julio. I got a bunch of different names in there. At some level, we know it's all 31 teams, I guess, technically, but I try to narrow it down at least a little bit there. So get your votes in. Y for yes, N for no. We'll have the proprietary data scraper get run here. Fairly even. I think the ends are winning right now, but there were quite a few yeses that came in at the beginning here. I see Josh and Tyler and Alex. We see your Chiefs question, Alex. I see it. It's in there. Thank you. I appreciate you using hashtag NFL early. I think the ends have it here. Maybe it's like 60, 65% no's on that one, but keep it coming. Will the Falcons end up trading away Julio Jones? Get your votes in. Y for yes, and from I'll give some more shout-outs here as well. I see another N. Yeses from Charles. No from Richard. W from just Washington. I think was this. Maybe you're behind there, Desmond. Click the live button. If your internet cuts out for a hot second, it might lag you out a bit. It's pretty even. So keep the votes coming. Y for yes or N for no. Very curious how that will all end up shaking out there. Let me do one thing here on this front. There we go. Should update momentarily. Yeah. All right. So, are you guys subscribed? Get your votes in. 1 for yes, 0 for no. I realized we were going to have back-to-back Y or N's. I'm like, we can't do that. So, I had to change it on both of them. Get your votes in. 1 for yes, you're subscribed, or 0 for not yet. Because if you're here before the show even gets started, you really should be subscribed. That means you're tuning in, you're hanging out with us all the time, but your notifications might not be on right. So if you guys want to join us here for daily videos, hit that big red button and subscribes here. So again, 1 for yes, 0 for no. Sorry, say what there, Producer Jeremy? Yeah, go. Let's get the good show. Let's get to the super chat here that just came in from Emil Peterson. It is a good question. He asks the top 5 offensive line right now. So I do like Cleveland up there. Maybe they're 1, maybe they're not, but I think Cleveland's definitely up there. I think the Patriots are up there for sure. I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are up there. I feel if Eric Fisher's healthy, put the Colts in that conversation. I like the Saints in there. Casey's made a lot of moves on the offensive line. I think Kansas City, Dallas, a healthy Philadelphia offensive line, maybe Baltimore. If Green Bay gets David Bakhtiari back healthy, maybe the Rams are all kind of competing for that 5th spot there. But I think my top guys are teams are the Browns, the Patriots, the Bucks, and I think the Saints are at least my clear-cut top 5 or top 4, and that 5th spot is very much up in the air. So very poor likes right now. Very disappointing from that perspective. So I want you guys to get us to at least 60 here. Like everything else, I mean, that's just disappointing. Like let's get a few more likes going in here right now. We're at 39 likes, almost 150 people watching, minimum 60. Or I'm just going to cancel the show altogether. I'm going to end it right now. I'll go home and I'll go do fun, video game stuff instead of hanging out with you guys here. So we're only at 54 likes right now. Let's get it to 60 at minimum here if we're going to get today's show started or not. So 55 there with like 130 people watching live right now. I think we'll get there. I think next update we should have it there. Otherwise, I'm just going to go home. I'm just going to end the show. If no one's watching, what's the point? Okay, there we go. So we at least got to 61 likes there, so I appreciate that. Here's what's coming up on today's live NFL Daily. A ton of rumors and news, live Q&A as well. So either super chat like Emil did, or put your hashtag NFL questions in the comment section. All that will make producer Jeremy's life a little bit more easy from that perspective. So we have that and some Julio Jones trade destinations all coming up right now on Loop. Or on the live show. I don't know why I said Loop. It's all live coming up right now. You're watching NFL Daily presented by Manscaped. I am your host, Tom Downey, and you best believe that I use Manscaped. You guys can save 20% and get free shipping on all their fantastic men's grooming products when you head over to manscaped.com/chat and you use promo code chat at checkout. That's 20% off and free shipping. Let's talk NFL trade rumors now around Morgan Moses, the Washington football team right tackle. The football team is allowing him to search for a trade, and we'll break down several different potential destinations, including the Denver Broncos, which I've seen linked multiple times, and I'm actually not sure is the best fit. But we'll get to that later. First, I want to focus on Moses, the player here. Now, he's got 2 years left on his contract at about $7.75 million per year. That's not ridiculously expensive. That's actually relatively affordable. The problem is, I wonder if opposing teams are starting to suspect if Moses is on the decline. Now, he did grade out pretty well by Pro Football Focus, but his actual raw numbers, I don't think were all that great. 5 sacks, 13 hits, and 20 hurries were all allowed last season. That is a little bit more than I think what you would want to see allowed out of a right tackle. Now, again, there's a lot of different reasons there in terms of what could possibly be going on, different excuses, rationale, whatever. The O-line was a bit banged up for Washington. The run grade was still really good, but I thought he got beat a little bit more than you want in pass protection. But Washington, when they drafted Samuel Cosmi and then signed Charles Leno after spending kind of early day 3, late day 2 picks on guys like Jerron Christian and Sadiq Charles, I was like, there's a weird numbers game going on at tackle. That puts it at 5 guys who could make the team without Morgan Moses. I didn't even put him on this depth chart to make it clear that you could roll with Leno and Cosmi and Christian and Charles and Lucas and go 5 deep at offensive tackle and probably kick one of those guys inside to guard as needed from that perspective. So I get why Washington is open to trading him. Now, I did want to go through, I've looked through some different articles and suggestions and reports out there. 6 teams have kind of popped up as potential fits. The Denver Broncos, who we'll get to more in depth in a second. The Cincinnati Bengals, who, okay, that's intriguing to me. The Pittsburgh Steelers. The Arizona Cardinals, who I think they're really more or less fine on the offensive tackle spot there. The New York Jets actually do intrigue me quite a bit, and the Falcons as well. But I think Denver is getting grouped in with the, right tackle, Juwan James, by people who more or less forgot that the Denver Broncos have kind of taken care of their situation on the offense, as far as I'm concerned from that perspective. You're going to, of course, have Garrett Bowles lined up there at the left tackle spot, and they have signed both Bobby Massey and Cameron Fleming at right tackle. Now, are those guys great right tackles? Not necessarily. Are they better than Morgan Moses? I'm not entirely sure, but I do think Denver has committed to their right tackle position. I think they're going to roll with Bobby Massey. I think he's the guy for this team this year. Like, that's what I think the path is here for the Denver Broncos. They're not going to go after Morgan Moses. So if this had happened like 2 weeks ago, which is on Washington in the end, they would have been a logical fit. Because of that, I don't think it ends up being in Denver. And I don't even know in the end if Moses gets traded. So get your votes in for me. What do you guys think will end up happening here? Will the Washington football team find a trade partner for Morgan Moses? Get your votes in right now. Type in A for yes, they will, or type in B for no. We're once again chatting Aaron Rodgers trade now because Albert Breer of Sports Illustrated has put together quite a trade package. Now, as I'm sure you guys are fully aware here, the Rodgers trade rumors simply will not go away. They are absolutely everywhere. They're consistently mentioned in major media outlets, and the Denver Broncos are always one of the teams linked to Aaron Rodgers. I think for a pretty decent reason there. There's a good connection in terms of the fit and the role there in the end. So Albert Breer put together a ridiculously expensive trade package for Aaron Rodgers. So here it is, right? The Denver Broncos, of course, get Aaron Rodgers in this trade, a 2022 4th-round pick, and then they give up Drew Lock, Bradley Chubb, Dalton Reisner, 3 first-round picks, one each year from 2022, 2023, and in 2024, and a 2022 second-round selection. This is a massive trade offer. I mean, the package that's been put together here by Albert Breer is huge. 3 potential starters, 3 first-round picks, and a second-rounder for a on the wrong side of 35-year-old quarterback. That is expensive. So who says no? Who do you think would say no to this trade? Get your votes in. Type in GB for the Green Bay Packers or type in D for the Denver Broncos, or just G for the Green Bay Packers, excuse me. In the end, I think Denver says no to this trade. I'm a big fan of Aaron Rodgers. I am. I mean, the year he put together in 2020 was one of the best quarterback years we've seen put together. Like, I think we would all more or less agree with that one. That is a massive, massive haul and deal for the quarterback. And he's great. Don't get me wrong there. But the pieces that Denver's giving up, it's a lot. And I get it, some of you just want to find your franchise quarterback, right? Bradley Chubb. You're going to pay him and make him your number one edge rusher, right? So now you got to go find a new edge to help replace him and help identify that position of need. I love Dalton Risner. Now, I think Green Bay would love to get him, but can I offer Lloyd Cushenberry instead, or Netani Muti, or can I get them, Quinn Miners? That intrigues me. I love Risner. I don't want to move on from him. And at some level, I get it. You're giving up value to get one of the premier quarterbacks in the NFL. I understand that. But also 3 first-round picks, and I get those 3 first-round picks are kind of devalued because of just, the where Denver would be drafting with Aaron Rodgers. I kind of think it's too much. Now, at some level, that's what I would be asking for if I were Green Bay. And that's the type of offer I think would have to be put together if Green Bay really was not even interested in moving on from Aaron Rodgers. But I think Rodgers is kind of forcing himself out. And once you reach that stage, I think the value does get dropped down. I get moving on 3 first-round picks and a second-rounder. A player or 2 as well. Both guys, it's probably a little bit too much. Give up both Risner and Chubb. As good and great as Aaron Rodgers is, he's 37. You would have to win a Super Bowl for that trade to be worth it in the end if you're Denver. So get your votes in here right now for me. Is this too much? Is that trade package too expensive for Aaron Rodgers? Get your votes in right now. Type in Y for yes it is, or type in N for no it's not. As mentioned, today's show is made possible by Manscaped. When you go to manscaped.com/chat, you'll get 2 things beyond just all the great men's grooming products you'll get. You'll get 20% off, and you'll get free shipping. So it's a really fantastic deal there. All their products are available at manscaped.com/chat, including the brand new Lawnmower 4.0, new and improved, I might add. So go get yours today. It's manscaped.com/chat. Link is right there, bottom of your screen. It'll be in the comments section and in the description as well. So if you haven't already, go check them out. Get your product today. Again, that link, manscaped.com/chat. It's in the comments and in the description. Let's talk Joe Burrow now, as it appears the Bengals' alleged and planned and hopeful franchise quarterback is set to return in time for Week 1. That was the report from Adam Schefter, talking to the doctor who did it, that everything appears that it's good to go for Joe Burrow and for the Cincinnati Bengals. That's a big deal. The former number 1 overall pick who suffered an absolutely nasty and ugly and I would say gruesome left knee injury in November. Seems like he's going to be able to go in Week 1. Now, there was, I thought, a noteworthy note, that's bad grammar, but whatever, an important note from that report that the doctors want to avoid contact for 9 months. And as a result, Joe Burrow might sit out some of the preseason. That is significant in terms of making sure he's good to go and fully back in time for Week 1. So what I want you guys to do right now is let me know in the comments section. What is your confidence level in Joe Burrow? Rated on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 being you think he's a bust, his career is already done, the Bengals just don't know it yet. 10 being you think he's going to be the greatest quarterback in NFL history. Get your votes in right now. Now, when healthy, despite having a not-so-great offensive line, having some of his receivers not be very good, I am very excited to see what Joe Burrow is able to put together here. That intrigues me. Like, I think that if he can show and take the steps forward that we saw last year, Burrow's going to have a better year and will establish himself as a franchise quarterback. Now, I know what some of the concerns are around him. Namely, they didn't draft Penei Sewell. Oh my God, he's doomed on the offensive line. I will make this note, though, however. The offensive line that got Joe Burrow hurt doesn't remotely resemble the offensive line pictured on screen right now. Jonah Williams was banged up for a good portion of last year. Quentin Spain is an upgrade over a very bad guard in Michael Jordan. Trey Hopkins, when healthy, is a starting caliber center. We'll see if Jackson Carman can be a good player. He's a major upgrade over Michael Jordan as well. Riley Reif is far better than Bobby Hart ever was. So this offensive line, if Jackson Carman can start day one, it's by no means top 5 or top 10, but it should prevent Joe Burrow from getting killed behind him. Now, the reason why I was on board with the pick of Jamar Chase over Penei Sewell is because this is now, the receiving core is finally an actual strength on the roster. Before this point, the Bengals didn't really have a strength in terms of a unit in any one area, especially after they got Gio Bernard at the running back position. But now Jamar Chase, T. Higgins on the outside, Tyler Boyd in the slot, Auden Tate's wide receiver 4. That's a pretty good 1, 2, 3, 4, at least 1, 2, 3 for a young perspective for a franchise quarterback. So as long as the offensive line can do its job and prevent Joe Burrow from getting murdered again, I think he has the accuracy, the intangibles, and enough arm, which is not great, but it's enough there, to make some plays. So I like Joe Burrow, and frankly, I'm pretty excited to see what he can do behind the Cincinnati Bengals offensive line. So we will see what Burrow looks like in 2021. Coming off of the injury, I think there will be some rust and some developmental time there in the end, but I am very excited to see what Burrow can do, and I know Bengals fans everywhere are also very, very excited at this point. Hello, friends. I am Tom Downey from Chat Sports, and we are talking Dolphins now on today's show. Namely, should they pursue signing Melvin Ingram, the edge rusher most recently with the Los Angeles Chargers? This was suggested to us here by Fansided, and I don't always love those ideas, but I do think it's worth exploring. I think this one actually does make some sense. Now, adding an extra pass rusher, adding depth in that area, that is never a bad idea, as long as the money works out right and the player is happy in his particular role. Now, unfortunately for Melvin Ingram, he's coming off a not good season. At his age 32 campaign, or 31, whichever one it was, 7 games, was banged up for pretty much the entire time. At 10 tackles, just the 1 tackle for loss, 0 sacks. All of those things are quite concerning. Like that is a major, major red flag there from that perspective. But in 2019, he was still performing at a very good level. 48 tackles, 11 tackles for loss, 7 sacks, 5 pass breakups. Those are good. Like, if you can get that level of Melvin Ingram, well, then, I mean, come on, he wouldn't be out there at this point, right? So get your votes for me before we spend more depth in terms of why it may or may not be a fit. Should the Miami Dolphins go sign Melvin Ingram? Get your votes in right now for me in the comments section. Type Y for yes, they should, or type in N for no, they should not. Now, in what is kind of a hybrid 3-4-4-3 scheme here, Ingram's coming off a somewhat similar defensive scheme there. Where does he fit in, right? Well, Emmanuel Ogbah last year, they spent a first-round pick on Jalen Phillips, so he's certainly not going to end up going anywhere either. Andrew Van Ginkel produced pretty well, but Vince Beagle, Nick Cole, Brennan Scarlett, it's not a great group of pure stand-up or off-the-ball, or edge rushers there. So I think there is some room for Melvin Ingram. But the other question here is, okay, where does he slot in? Does he start, or is he edge 3 or 4? And if he's edge 3 or 4, at that point, does Ingram want to play? But I think from a production standpoint, Miami could use another pass rusher based on the guys coming back, because remember, Shaq Lawson's gone. Jalen Phillips probably gets his snaps in the end. Emmanuel Ogbah had 9. Jerome Baker, more of a blitzing linebacker than a pure edge guy, was 7. Van Ginkel surprised everyone with 5.5. He's, if we're being honest here, probably due for some level of regression. Zach Sealer had 3.5. Landon Roberts, again, kind of more of an off-ball linebacker there, had 1.5. And then also, I'll make note, Christian Wilkins had the exact same production there at the 1.5 level. So I do think there is a role for Melvin Ingram. If he's healthy, if he's going to bounce back a bit there, I think he'd be cheap. That's always valuable in today's NFL. Finding a cheap third edge rusher does make some sense, but we will see in the end if the Dolphins end up making a run at adding Melvin Ingram this offseason. Let's chat some more Dolphins news on this side here because, according to running back Myles Gaskin, well, there's a new playbook coming in. Now, as I'm sure everyone watching knows, George Godsey and Eric Studesville are the new co-offensive coordinators. And Gaskin's kind of revealed that this is a different offense. Like, this is not the same playbook. And I think that's important to note and also try to identify exactly what the new playbook ends up meaning. Now, I was very down to move on from Chan Gailey because I didn't really think he's a great play caller. Overhauling the playbook comes with some positives and some negatives that we'll dive into here in a second. First, from Gaskin's quote, "It's definitely different. A whole new playbook. It's not the same as last year. Surprised with some things, excited for some things." And I do wonder, and I wish there had been more of a follow-up there, has the terminology changed? Are the formations, the personnel, the actual plays what's different? Because those are two really separate things. If the terminology has changed, that's a pretty significant learning curve for the entire offense. If the terminology is the same, which is my guess as we sit right now, but it's different formations, different groupings, different emphasis on particular plays and formations and concepts and all that stuff, well, I'm more intrigued by that one. So get your votes in for me here before we go more in depth on Gaskin and how this impacts, maybe Tua, for example. Is a new playbook a good thing? Type 1 for yes it is, or type in 0 for no. Get your votes in right now in the comments section. Now, Gaskin, I think for now, is the lead running back, and I will make note that, of course, Eric Studesville has plenty of experience working with the running backs there as the former RB coach. Gaskin, Brown, Savon Ahmed, yes, Jared Dokes is on the roster as well. Of course, they've moved on from other players here. And last year, just in general, as it relates to the running game, Matt Breida did not fare very well. He's gone. So there is at least, at minimum, 59 carries you would imagine to go around between the new backs. Matt Breida goes out. Malcolm Brown comes in. Savon Ahmed, Myles Gaskin. Gaskin was a nice player. I think he's still in line to be RB1. And I do wonder if the new playbook will benefit or end up hurting Myles Gaskin. But in the end, I think this point has been made very clear by me and others. It's less about the running game. That's not what the purpose is of installing a new playbook with new offensive coordinators. The goal here is about Tua. That, unquestionably, folks, is the priority. The new playbook needs to be built around Tua. It is his team right now, and most importantly, it's his time to break out in 2021. Fair or not, in the modern-day NFL, quarterbacks don't normally get the 2, 3, or even 4 years to grow and develop and show they can be the guy. If you're lucky, you get 3 years, and then you're kind of on your way out there, right, Sam Darnold? So Tua has got to step up this year, and my hope is that an offensive system and game planning that, for the record, I did not like last year. I thought that the game plan was very different with Tua versus with Fitzpatrick, and I think it limited Tua far more than should really be done. But I think that with this new game plan and the new playmakers on offense, Will Fuller, Jalen Waddle, guys getting healthy, I believe that we will see a better Tua in 2020. That is my expectation here. Or 2021, excuse me. The 2020 guy was not bad by any means. 64% through the air, 1,800 yards. The TD's not high enough. Interceptions a bit too high. The QBR was kind of more just above average here. But for Miami, with a new playbook, this is the opportunity to build everything around Tua to get an offense that fits his skill set and build your offense around your superstar player, or at least potential superstar player, and make sure he has every chance to prove he is the guy. Because if not, life's short in the NFL. There might need to be some changes before Dolphins fans would prefer them to be made. All right, now some questions for you guys here. Who is the most underrated team in the NFL? Get your votes in right now. And we'll give some shout-outs here as these flow in on top of that. So, get your votes in. The most underrated team in the NFL right now. I'll give some shout-outs here. Just flowing. And I forgot my qualifier. Cannot be your own team. It must be somebody else. Cannot be, if you're like a Giants fan, can't pick the Giants there. So keep that in mind. Mariners fan says Dolphins. John says Giants. Arrigo says Washington. Dolphins, Niners. Can't pick your own team, Manny. I'm changing the rules on you guys on the fly here. Lots of Washingtons, actually. I'm kind of intrigued by that one there. Let's see. I see Dolphins, Niners, Dolphins, Chargers, Chiefs, Dolphins, Washington, Eagles, Chargers, Browns. I see Browns, Panthers, Browns, Dolphins, Patriots, Cardinals, Chargers, Patriots, Eagles, Chargers, Giants. I think the Chargers and Washington, now maybe just the same people spamming their votes in there, but those seem to be the two most popular ones. Keep those votes coming. Get your votes in right now. You guys are watching Seattle Seahawks Today. I am your host, Tom Downey. Let's talk some rumors here around the idea of adding a significant right tackle, namely Mitchell Schwartz. This idea floated out there by Fansided. Sometimes I like him, sometimes I don't. See on this video how I feel. But this at least intrigues me. Now, when healthy, I think unquestionably Mitchell Schwartz is one of the best right tackles in the NFL. I mean, he's been fantastic for Kansas City, has always been good, reliable. I'd say top 5 for the most part at that position. The problem was the qualifier I mentioned. Right there, third note. When healthy. Schwartz was not healthy this past year for KC. Had a lingering back issue, had surgery on it, and backs in general, folks, don't often get better. So the production from Mitchell Schwartz last year was okay. 2 sacks, 1 hit, 8 hurries. That's all at least worth mentioning there. He's been better when fully healthy. It really does come down to the medical side of it. And I also wonder for Seattle, with all the moves that they've made, if the player is healthy, would they try at that point? Because I like the idea in general of adding Mitchell Schwartz. I think he is a better player than Brandon Shell is. But I also want to make the note here that Shell was fine last year. He was not the problem on the offensive line. I'm looking at you, center Ethan Posick, and the rotation at guard they were dealing outside of Damian Lewis, and other injuries, of course, to Shell himself there. So if Mitchell Schwartz is healthy, I have interest. But if he's healthy, I start to wonder if he'd be a bit more expensive than what Seattle would be looking to add. So get your votes in for me here on this question. Do you want Mitchell Schwartz? Type Y for yes you do, or type in N for no you do not. Get your votes in right now for me down there in the comments section. Now I'm going to give Fansided some credit here, and I think they went above and beyond, and I appreciate that. They offered up a proposed contract as part of this deal, so I like it. Here's what they had. 3 years, $24 million with $11 million guaranteed. And that is a contract you would give him if he was fully healthy. That's a lot of money, even with just $11 million guaranteed, all this year guaranteed and some of next year. That's a lot of money to pay someone who may or may not be healthy long term. And the way this contract is structured, they had the cap hits in there, $5.25 million this year, $8.25 million next year. That's all intriguing. That's all well and good. And 10.5 in 2023. But $11 million guaranteed, with the way the cap hits are structured, you're probably locking yourselves into him for 2 years. And coming off the back surgery, That's not the type of contract that I would want to give Schwartz right now. I think it's a little bit too much, and it's a little bit too expensive. So, again, I am intrigued by it. I like the idea of Schwartz in Seattle, but if it costs me that much, I don't think Seattle would do it. But I want to hear from you guys here, as well. Would you do that deal? 3 years, $24 million for Mitchell Schwartz coming off the back injury. Get your votes in right now. Type D for deal. You can type in N for no deal. Make your voice heard right now in the comments section. We're going to Fansided again for the Seahawks rumor story. Pete Carroll's potential replacements. Now, don't shoot the messenger for starters here. Not my fault. Don't blame me. This is Fansided's idea here. And I think we are getting a little bit ahead of ourselves here. Yes, Pete Carroll turns 70 in September, and he's old, and at some point he's going to call it a career. But let's be honest, too. He looks incredible for 70, is still a very good head coach there. He's under contract for far beyond that. So because of it, I'm not really all that interested in replacing Pete Carroll right this second. He's still doing a good job. And I know that Seahawks fans want more success in the postseason, but what Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson have done together is incredible. 12-4, made the playoffs last year. 2019, 11-5, get a playoff win. 2018, make the playoffs again. 2017 is the only time in this 9-year stretch that they have not made the postseason. Yes, you want to win more than just one game maximum in the playoffs every year since 2013, but this level of sustained success, even if it's not the high-end success that you're searching for, is still very impressive. 2015, again, a 10-win season. Every year they've won 10 games and made the playoffs except that 2017 season. Yes, the interception 2014 Super Bowl is very painful, and I understand that hurts everybody. But in general, when you have this level between the two head coach and quarterbacks, that level of sustained success and just wins, you don't normally want to blow that up. So I've made that same point graphically with Russell Wilson trade rumors. Now I'm making again with Pete Carroll here. So before we get to the list from Fansided, which it's bad, make your votes in the comments section. Go do it right now. How many more years do you believe that Pete Carroll will coach? And I think it's kind of Seattle at this point. Is it 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4, 5 until he croaks? Get your votes in for me right now in the comments section. Now, this was the list. Again, it's not my fault. Don't blame me. I'm going to go off on it here in a second. The potential Pete Carroll replacement list consists of 3 names. Greg Roman, the Ravens offensive coordinator. Luke Fickell, the Cincinnati Bearcats head coach. And then Jim Harbaugh as well, the current Michigan Wolverines head coach. So let's go coach by coach here. Starting with Greg Roman, the only guy in the NFL right now on this list. I hate it. Greg Roman is a very good offensive coordinator when it comes to being able to construct an offense around a quarterback who's going to run the football a lot. He did it with Colin Kaepernick, did it with Lamar Jackson as well. He's a bad fit with Russell Wilson. The whole point is to let Russ cook. So taking a coordinator who historically has not done a good job of building passing offenses is a horrible idea. And by the way, fans are also like, well, maybe you can get Don Martindale as the DC. Why would he take a lateral move? It makes no sense. F on that one. They also threw out Luke Fickell, which, what? For the record, I like Luke Fickell. I think he's a really good coach. I think at the college level, he's due for a promotion. I am not going to hire the Cincinnati Bearcats head coach, even though I like him, to come be the Seattle Seahawks head coach. If you want to go duplicate the Pete Carroll thing, do it with somebody with more relevant experience, not G5 head coach. Come on, guys. What are we doing there? Finally, there was Jim Harbaugh, which I also do not like. Because if we're being honest here, you shouldn't want to hire Jim Harbaugh to the NFL. Guys, the Michigan Wolverines football team has not been that good since JT Barrett got that first down. If you take off the name Harbaugh, the resume is not very impressive. So why would I go hire a coach in Jim Harbaugh? It's like this is Pete Carroll, who you got the familiarities there with, oh, he did so great at the college level, then went to the NFL, and then back to college, blah, blah, blah. No. I think hiring Harbaugh, I know he's a big-time name. I don't think he's that appealing of a head coach right now. So if you're looking for Pete Carroll replacements, look in a different direction. Those were 3 not good names. I did want to hit some Denver Broncos wide receiver updates right now as well. Beginning with Courtland Sutton, who, as I'm sure every Broncos fan out there watching right now is fully aware, he's coming off the torn ACL. He's hyping up his rehab, saying, hey, he's going to be good to go, and he's going to be able to play in week 1 for the Denver Broncos. Everything looks good on that front there, and that's very, very exciting, all that good stuff. So I think that's a positive sign there from Sutton. Here's what he had to say specifically, though, knowing that, of course, it is, after all, best shape of life season. Quote from Sutton, to be at the stage that I'm at right now, post-surgery, and to be able to go out and do what I do, and it feels the way it does, it gives me hope and promise for the future, because I'm only going to continue to attack rehab as I have, even into the season. Just continue to make sure I'm taking care of my temple. We don't often get the quotes of my body's a temple from NFL players, but we have it right here from Courtland Sutton. And I think for Denver, amid uncertainty around the quarterback position here, the expectation, or at least hope, is that Sutton can recapture the very, very promising form we saw out of him in 2019 when he pulled in 72 catches for well over 1,000 yards, 1,012 to be exact there, and 6 touchdowns. So I like what I've seen previously out of Courtland Sutton. So I'm going to present this question here for you guys. Over or under? Is Courtland Sutton, we'll base it on yards, going to have a career year? Will he beat what he did in 2019? Over or under 1,113? Get your votes in the comment section right now. Type O for over or type in U for under. Now, this is where the Denver Broncos currently sit here at wide receiver. The reason why maybe you're like, maybe the under could actually end up hitting there in the end, there's Sutton. There's also Jerry Jeudy, however, which is a potential red flag there in the end, because he's a good football player if he can remember how to catch again. So I think Jeudy will cut in to some of the touches and targets in the long run from Courtland Sutton. There's also KJ Hamler. What role is he going to play for the organization? Is he going to be heavily involved? Tim Patrick's back as well. Denver has some good bodies at receiver. It's a matter of how they divvy up all those potential targets. They also brought in somebody new. One more receiver update here for you guys. Damian Willis, who has bounced around the NFL a little bit here. Spent some time most notably with the Cincinnati Bengals. But Denver is his new team. And the move, of course, comes after Deshaun Hamilton's injury. Hamilton was probably not going to make the team. They were going to trade him anyway. But I think Denver wanted to find a way to have some depth at the back end of that wide receiver roster there. So I think Damian Willis comes in. He ends up being the back of the rotation, preseason type of guy, maybe a practice squatter. In terms of actually making the 53-man roster, I think that's asking a little bit too much out of the player right now. So are you guys subscribed? Get your votes in for me right now in the comment section. 1 for yes or 0 for not yet. Get your votes in. Let me get a sip of water here too. Need some water. Jeremy says cheers. Kavari, no, it is not a loop right now. Thank you for clarifying that, Robert Bruce, in the comment section. All right. I see a lot of ones in there from Joey, Mark Pryor, Shanav as well. Bulls for Life YouTube is one. Mark is one. Long-time watcher there, Mark. Appreciate it. Jace is in there. Shanav is in there. Shanav says he was there since 30K. That's pretty damn impressive on that front there. Let's see. I got a 0 from Jacob Fry. All right, so Jacob, if you're not already subscribed, hit that big red button and join us. That way you don't miss any of the videos we have for you guys here every single day on Chat Sports. Let's chat Pittsburgh Steelers now here. Could they go sign an edge rusher? I bring this up today because I thought it was at least significant and or noteworthy that the Pittsburgh Steelers had interest in adding Ryan Kerrigan. Now, he, of course, ended up with the Philadelphia Eagles, but the route of going after Kerrigan is highly intriguing to me because it tells me Pittsburgh is looking for one. And I think that does make some sense when you look at where things stand in Pittsburgh right now on that depth chart in that rotation. TJ Watt is there. Alex Highsmith, of course, I believe, is primed to take over in replacement of Bud Dupree. Now, Quincy Roche, we'll get to him more in depth in a second as well, but this edge rushing group with undrafted free agent Jamar Watson, Calvin Bundage was signed, I think that was the last year free agent pickup, undrafted. Cassius Marsh right now is edge number 4. I don't think the depth exists, especially if Pittsburgh is at least somewhat concerned about looking to have a backup plan in place for Alex Highsmith. I think we would all agree that TJ Watt's awesome. It's Highsmith's turn, but the depth behind him is not particularly good. The number 3 guy for me is actually Quincy Roche, who I like. I had a 4th-round grade on him. He ended up going mid-ish late day 3 to the Steelers. Out of Miami of Florida, transfer from Temple, blah, blah, blah. I like him. I think he could be an edge 3. But he was also a later day 3 pick. And the reality is, the best indicator for NFL success is draft position. So even though I like Roche, and he could be an outlier, banking on a player where he was drafted does make things a little bit risky for Pittsburgh. So after missing out on Ryan Kerrigan, I do think there are some different edges worth exploring in terms of potential options. So we'll take our time on this one here. But Olivier Vernon, probably the best one on this list based on last year, suffered a torn Achilles. So maybe he signs closer to training camp. If so, yeah, pick up the phone, give him a call, see how that one goes down there. Melvin Ingram is coming off a down year, also a bit banged up, but he's a great fit for what the Steelers want to do on the defensive side of the ball. Same with Justin Houston, aging but still productive. Vic Beasley was once good, and now he's just, I think, bad at that level. And I'll throw in Jabal Sheard as well as another option, but I think all 5 of those guys are at least better than Cassius Marsh. So if I was Pittsburgh, I'm signing somebody. I'm adding a veteran that helped me win right now. So get your votes in. What do you want to do if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers? Are you going to sign a pass rusher? Get your votes in for me right now in the comment section. Type in Y for yes you do, or type in N for no you don't. You want to go in a different direction there. Get your votes in for me right now in the comment section. Let's talk cornerback for the Arizona Cardinals here. Once again, I am your host, Tom Downey. Pro Football Focus has suggested on more social media that, maybe the Cardinals could use another cornerback. And in terms of the way the roster is constructed, I kind of agree. Now, Arizona did draft 2 guys on day 3, 2 guys I'm intrigued by. But I think reliability is not a great word for where this Cardinals team sits at the cornerback position. I am a believer in Byron Murphy. I am ready for a breakout year. Malcolm Butler can start for you. I don't think he's particularly great, but he can start. He's better than Dre Kirkpatrick. Robert Alford, well, we'll come back to him in a second. The 2 rookies then, Marco Wilson, Tay Gowan. Wilson's a great athlete. I think Gowan's got a lot of upside. They're day 3 picks. If you're banking on those 2 guys to play big roles, might be a little bit worrisome. And the rest of these guys, even though Picasso Nelson's a great name, like Rico Gafford was a receiver like a year ago. There's 3 guys that I think most fans have heard of, the 2 rookies, and a bunch of guys that, if you're a Cardinals fan and haven't heard of them, I wouldn't blame you. Those are not reliable options. So they are very thin, I think, at the top and throughout the depth chart here. And I'm concerned that Arizona might be relying a little bit too much right now on Robert Alford, unless they think Marco Wilson can start, which I don't think so. The reason why you see Robert Alford's 2018 stats on screen is because that's the last time he's played. He's missed the past 2 years. Robert Alford has not been a contributing player for Arizona, period. So to bank on him, I get a little bit worried about it. I think that starts to concern me and worry me about relying on Alford behind Byron Murphy, Malcolm Butler, who are fine, but that's not prime Patrick Peterson anywhere on that roster. So my answer to this question I'm about to show you guys is yes. I think the Cardinals should go add another corner, a veteran of some type who can play outside, because we know that Butler and Alford and Murphy can all kind of play some nickel as needed. So get your votes in. Do the Cardinals need another corner? Type 1 for yes or type in 0 for no. Couple names I wanted to mention. 2 outside guys, 2 nickel guys. So we'll start with the nickel players here. Brian Poole, Darqueze Dennard, I think they're at their best in the nickel. It's fine if you want to go that route, but I think they could pursue a different path in the end. I am highly intrigued by both Steven Nelson and Richard Sherman. Now, I think Nelson might be a better fit potentially, but he can start on the outside for you. Like, you can bench Robert Alford, give Marco Wilson, Tay Gowan some time to grow, and roll with Byron Murphy, Malcolm Butler, and Steven Nelson. It's not a perfect cornerback room, but I'll tell you what, I think it's an upgrade. So if I'm Arizona, I'm trying to go get one of those guys. This is your opportunity, folks, to be a hater. Who is your least favorite NFL team? Get your votes in for me right now in the comments. I'm going to sip some, we'll call it Haterade here. Get it? Stole that joke from Chugs there. Get your votes in. We'll give some shout-outs here. John Simon says Cowboys. Joe Joey says Eagles. Derek Harris says Eagles. Karav says Packers. Mike says Steelers. Bears from Packers Go. That makes sense there. Seahawks from Rohit. Giants from Jake D. Chiefs, Cardinals, Bears, Packers, Eagles, Cowboys, Bucks. Chiefs, Raiders, Seahawks, Eagles, Broncos, Cowboys, Bucks, Steelers, Raiders, Browns, Bears, Eagles. A lot of Cowboys in there. That one doesn't actually surprise me all that much there in the end. Any team Tom Brady is on. I think that one, folks, is our winner. I think that's a good answer, because if we're being honest here, my water off screen. It can get a little bit bothersome to constantly have to deal with just how good Tom Brady is. It gets a little bit frustrating and annoying, so I get it from that perspective. But get your votes in there, folks. Your least favorite NFL team. Welcome in the New York Giants now. I am your host, Tom Downey. Let's discuss Daniel Jones and where he ranked on Pro Football Focus's quarterback rankings list. Jones checked in the end at number 20, so back end of the starting caliber quarterbacks in the NFL. And I think at some level, even if Giants fans are feeling optimistic about Daniel Jones, which I think is fair, especially if you're a fan, I think we are all fully aware that it is time and it is needed for Daniel Jones to have a breakout season. He is now entering year 3. It is now or almost never for Jones to emerge as the team's franchise quarterback. Now, I did want to mention some quarterbacks ahead of Daniel Jones. Baker Mayfield on there, Kirk Cousins on there, Ben Roethlisberger, Big Ben himself. That's kind of interesting given his age and I would argue the decline we saw at the back end of last season. Kyler Murray's on there. I agree. Joe Burrow coming off the knee. Maybe a bit of a surprise. But the reason why I think Daniel Jones ranks so low is, look, he wasn't that productive last year. He wasn't. Now, I think that the QBR, ESPN's metric, is at least somewhat helpful of describing overall quarterback play. Jones was a little bit more accurate. The yards per attempt are a good half yard below what you want out of a franchise guy. The touchdown-interception ratio was a major problem last year. Not nearly enough touchdowns. The QBR was better. And I think almost most importantly, the fumbles were also a little bit better this past year for Daniel Jones. Still way too many. Let's get that cut in half. But you need to see more growth out of Daniel Jones going forward. Now, part of the reason why I am at least concerned about the growth from Daniel Jones is his offensive coordinator. If we're being honest here, I don't have faith in Jason Garrett. I don't know if you guys have faith in Garrett out there, but I think his style, his play, the stuff that he does in terms of the scheme and all that, I don't buy Jason Garrett. And because of that, I am worried about Daniel Jones having the breakout season. I think the weaponry is there. Kenny Golladay, and you bring in Kadarius Toney, and Darius Slayton, and Saquon gets healthy. All those tight ends they have on their roster. The O-line gives me concern. But the biggest issue I have with Jones beyond his play, in terms of a breakout coming, is the offensive coordinator. I don't have faith in Jason Garrett. I'm sorry. So make your predictions for me then. I've kind of given my answer where I'm not quite so sold there. Will Daniel Jones have a breakout year this season? Get your votes in for me right now in the comments section. Will the Daniel Jones breakout happen in 2021? It's Y for yes or N for no. Let's chat Baltimore Ravens now. Here's some Ravens rundown videos for you. I am Tom Downey, and PFF has put out their rankings of every single starting, or at least the top 32, I should say, running backs in the NFL. And J.K. Dobbins, 26th. And I very much disagree. I'll say it, I am surprised and confused, only slightly dazed, however, behind the ranking of J.K. Dobbins at 26th among NFL runners. Now, he's behind, I might add, several backup runners when I believe that this year J.K. Dobbins is primed for a massive breakout season. So we'll get back to the breakout side here in a second. But first, some of the guys ahead of Dobbins, right? All right, Jonathan Taylor, he's 16. Okay, I get it. And they invested more in him. It's fine. Melvin Gordon. Okay, I can see that. James Robinson. Okay, sure. Miles Sanders. Okay, I'm starting to get it a little bit there. Najee Harris. He's a rookie. He was definitely rated higher by most people, so I get it. It's the next five, however, that I don't get at all. I think every one of these five guys should be behind J.K. Dobbins. I like Tony Pollard. I really do. 21st over J.K. Dobbins based on what? A smaller, more efficient sample size? Devin Singletary does not belong on this list. And I know that at some level, the role of the offensive line, it massively impacts running backs, and the Ravens have a better offensive line than the Bills do, but Singletary wasn't that great last year. J.K. Dobbins outproduced him. Travis Etienne hasn't played in the NFL yet, and is also going to split time with James Robinson. Javonte Williams? You got 3 rookies over J.K. Dobbins? Ronald Jones? What? That does not make sense to me at all. And Jones outproduced Singletary even. I believe that with Mark Ingram gone, this is going to be a massive breakout year for J.K. Dobbins. In just 134 carries last year, he averaged 6 yards per carry. Like, that is profoundly impressive if you are the Baltimore Ravens. That level of production is massive. Like, that is not something you see very often. So now the efficiency will drop. I promise you from that perspective. Like, he's not going to average 6 yards per carry on 200 plus. But if you're banking on like Tony Pollard on efficiency, put Dobbins above him. He should be top 20 minimum. The receiving game, there's enough value there as well. 18 catches last year, 120 yards. I'm sure he'll be a little bit more involved in that role this year. But when you look at what the Ravens have at the running back position with J.K. Dobbins, it's then Gus Edwards, Justice Hill, and 2 undrafted free agents. I am promising you that J.K. Dobbins' role is going to be massive this year. He's going to be the guy for Baltimore. I think most of the Mark Ingram touches are going to go to J.K. Dobbins. I think he might get 200 carries this year. At least 200 touches. So, like, from a role, efficiency, player talent perspective, Dobbins is way too low on that list. So make your predictions for me here right now in the comments section. Over or under 1,000 yards for J.K. Dobbins this season? Get your votes in for me. Type in O for over or type in U for under. You fantasy people out there, I'm betting the over. I feel good about J.K. Dobbins this year. Let's chat Cleveland Browns now here on Chat Sports. That makes sense, right? Bleacher Report has suggested that they put out their article of one move each NFL Super Bowl contender could make to put them over the edge. And the Browns' listed move was signing Steven Nelson. And I was a bit surprised and a little bit confused by that. Because, look, in general, I always like adding corners. Depth is good. I think corners are essential to life in the NFL these days. I think it makes sense to go out and get some help there. And, look, I think the biggest issue for Cleveland is they kind of got some guys. Now, Nelson got his way out of Pittsburgh like he wanted. The Steelers tried to trade him. They could not. In the end, I don't think there was that much interest in finding a way for a team to trade for Nelson. The completion percentage is pretty good. 7 touchdowns, 9 pass breakups. He got targeted a lot for Pittsburgh last year, so all those volume numbers are a little bit high. In the end, for Nelson, I view him as a low-end starter. That's the role I think he's going to be in the NFL, at least at this stage of his NFL career. Which is interesting to me because the Browns don't need a low-end starter. They need healthy guys, which is fair. We'll get to that more in depth here. But they signed Troy Hill. He's got some inside-outside flex. Denzel Ward also has some inside-outside flex. Greedy Williams was a round 2 pick, and they spent their first rounder on Greg Newsome. So if the Browns are concerned about the injuries to guys like Ward and Williams and Newsome, okay, insurance makes sense to me. Does Steven Nelson want to go somewhere where he's being viewed as insurance? My suspicion is no. He wants to go somewhere where he's told, hey, you're going to start so that next year you can be the guy. You can get paid in free agency. I don't think that's the case right now in Cleveland. So I think that absolutely makes some sense in terms of, going after a cornerback that does intrigue me at some level. But I don't know if Nelson is the right fit from his perspective for Cleveland. But you guys can get your votes in here for me as well. Do you want to go sign Steven Nelson? Type in Y for yes you do, or type in N for no you do not. Make your voice heard right now in the comments section. Now I think in the end, the Browns' desire to go after another corner is probably going to be tied to the health of this guy. Greedy Williams, the round 2 pick, whose his older brother just got drafted this year by the Giants. I got them mixed up. It is his older brother, even though he was already in the NFL. Weird, right? Anyway, Greedy was banged up last year, was never healthy. Denzel Ward was a bit banged up last year. If the Browns think Greedy is going to be good to go and healthy, then with Troy Hill, Greg Newsome, their round 1 pick, Denzel Ward, and of course Greedy Williams, I don't think the need is there at cornerback for the Browns to go add a significant player like Nelson unless there are injury fears. All right, now it's time for you guys to shout out your favorite team in the comments section. Drink of water here, hold on. All right, get your favorite team. You can now just shout them out all you want in the comments section here. Let's see, someone said no. Wow, mean manual. I see Dallas and Cowboys back-to-back. Browns, Bears, Giants, Bears again, Raiders in there. Arrigo spamming his Bears, respect. Cowboys, Packers, and Vikings. That's bold, Mark. That's unusual, though. I get it. It's, from a local perspective for you. Bears, Vikings, Seahawks, Titans, Giants, Bucks. Burning Spaces, can you guess mine? You're a Saints fan, right? Titans, Cowboys, Chargers, Giants, Packers, Giants, Bears, Seahawks, Vikings. Of course, I know that Burning Spades is actually a Falcons fan. He always does a great job of super chatting here at Chat Sports, which is why, by the way, we're going to have our mailbag right now. If you want to get on the show, there are 2 ways to do it. You can either use hashtag NFL or you can super chat. Those are the 2 ways to get on today's live show. Super Chat's easy for producer Jeremy to find. And on top of that, use hashtag NFL, it helps us sort the graphics that we pull from YouTube and get all those questions in there. So either use hashtag NFL or Super Chat to get your questions on the show. Now, if you guys love the NFL, then you need to subscribe. We've got videos coming out every single day around the NFL, and on most days, not quite all of them, but almost all of them, multiple videos a day on the NFL. So if you haven't already, hit that big red button and subscribe. From Tristan Brown, who is the worst head coach in the league, I, for one, hope that I am wrong on this one. David Culley of the Baltimore Ravens, formerly now the Houston Texans head coach, was the passing game coordinator for an offense that did not have good coordination of its passing game. So I think David Culley is the worst head coach in the NFL. All right, from Burnin' Spade, shout out y'all. Across the NFL, top 5 undrafted free agents who could be a surprise to make the final 53. Okay, so we have done my top undrafted free agency list. I'm not going to go 1 through 5 here, but I will mention 5 that I like. I am a big believer in Ardarius Washington. I will always put him on this list now with the Ravens out of TCU. I'm going to go David Moore out of Grambling State, who I think could potentially maybe beat out Deontay Brown at guard for the Panthers. Give me Cade Johnson, receiver, or Tamorrion Terry, both for the Seahawks, both receivers. I'm going to go Charles Snowden for the Bears as an edge rusher. And I'm going to speak this one into existence here. Give me Elijah Griffin, Warren G's kid, out of USC, now a member of the Buffalo Bills. A super chat from a Broncos fan here, and Mark Langley. Is Aaron Rodgers going to be traded? Maybe. I think there is a very real possibility. Once we get to June 1st, the contract becomes more easily tradable. So I think there is a real possibility that Rodgers gets dealt. And if he does, I think Denver is one of the obvious contenders to go get him with what they have on the roster and what they need, namely the quarterback position. From Shanav, all right, here's my Aaron Rodgers trade proposal. 3 first-round picks. Good start there, Shanav. Teddy Bridgewater, Michael Ojemudia, Lloyd Cushenberry, and Albert O. I like it. I like throwing in some players there. Albert O is a good piece. Ojemudia is a good player to throw in with the depth the Broncos have at cornerback, so I like that one. Cushenberry was not great this past year. If the Packers were to accept that, however, I would be all over it. That would be a still pretty decent offer for Green Bay and would get you a fantastic player and a franchise quarterback. So Denver should say yes. We'll see if Green Bay would, though, however. All right, from Red Riding Hoods, will Patrick Mahomes win his 2nd MVP this year? I think it's possible. Every year that Mahomes is healthy, he's going to be in the MVP discussion. I do wonder if at some point, you can go to like LeBron, for example, in the NBA. Like if we just determine who has the most value, it should be Mahomes every year. But that is not how the NFL hands out that award. Now, last year, I think it really truly was Aaron Rodgers. He outplayed Mahomes, who also had some minor injury stuff there. But from a MVP award perspective, it often goes to a great player on a great team who also exceeded the expectations around him at least a little bit. This is like this is the expectation for Mahomes. Nearly 40 touchdowns, low interceptions, all of those things. So I think, yes, Mahomes is certainly among the front runners here to win that MVP award. I don't know if he is a lock by any stretch, but I think he's one of the best bets out there. So betting odds-wise, these are the top 3 guys right now on the odds. Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers, or you can type in O for other. Who do you think wins the award? Type PM for Mahomes, AR for Aaron Rodgers, JA for Josh Allen. Get your votes in right now in the comments section. From Alex M., who was flooding this question in earlier today, we were going to get to it, buddy, I promise you. Is Cornell Powell going to be better than Sammy Watkins for the Chiefs? I mean, again, I know there is the hype train around Cornell Powell. I think expecting better than Sammy Watkins, probably asking for too much for a day 3 guy. Is he going to be a good player? Yes. Instantly better? No, probably not. From Justin, the Falcons trade Julio. If so, what do they get and from who? Justin, my friend, there is a Julio Jones trade destinations video coming, so make sure you're subscribed and stay tuned. From Noah Hanna, a super chat, $2. Thank you, Noah. What do you think the Titans will do this year? I still think they're the favorite to win the AFC South until Carson Wentz shows he's not bad anymore. Like, I think at that point, maybe the Colts are the threats, but I think Tennessee should still be one of the best free agents out there, or one of the best teams out there, in that division. A super chat from Mark Mulo. Hey, Tom, how are you, buddy? I'm doing great, Mark. Thank you again so much for asking here. Given the remaining prominent free agents, including Richard Sherman, do you believe any of them retire if not re-signed? So, I think your retirement threats, Mitchell Schwartz due to injury. Justin Houston is getting up there in age. Other old guys, does DeMar Dotson count? I think Everson Griffin wants to keep playing, but he is old. I think the biggest name is Larry Fitzgerald. That's the route I think will end up retiring first and foremost in the NFL. From Mariners fans, should the Seahawks trade Trey Flowers for a pick or a defensive tackle? If you can do it, heck yeah. I think that Trey Flowers is not that good. If you can get a day 3 pick for him, I'm doing it right now. I also, in the end, don't really think that Trey Flowers has much value. So because of that, I'd say probably not in the end. But I try it for sure. Alexander Garcia, is there a specific game that Hurts has to win to be considered a franchise quarterback, or does he need to have a winning record? I mean, winning record would help there, but it's not one specific game here. I think in general, he has to show that he is better. That might not be done by winning a bunch of games. Maybe the defense is bad or there are injuries or whatever, but he's got to show growth as a passer. If that happens, in theory, then they won't be drafting in quarterback range at that point. All right, from Joey, pro comps for Micah Parsons, Kelvin Joseph, all the rookies. Okay, we're not going to go to all of them. I think you're hoping for starting caliber guys out of those in the end. Same with Josh Ball, the Marshall offensive tackle. And you want to see Micah Parsons in the Von Miller role. He cannot be a pure pass rusher for you. If you're drafting Micah Parsons as an edge rusher only, which is what Von Miller is, I don't know what you were doing with that pick. Like, take a pure pass rusher. If you want to use Micah Parsons as a part-time blitzer, okay, I'm down with it. That's probably more of the, Bruce Irvin, KJ Wright role from Seahawks defenses in years past. But as a pure edge in Von Miller, not a good route to go. Again, folks, we got videos coming at you guys every single day. NFL, NBA, and more. So if you want all the latest sports news here on YouTube and having some fun along the way, hit that big red button and subscribe. From Mark Pryor, if Russell Wilson, Aaron Donald, Julio Jones, and Harrison Smith all retired today, how many of them would be Hall of Famers? So Wilson's in. Aaron Donald's in. Julio Jones is probably in, but maybe on that one. Harrison Smith has a shot, but it's tough for safeties to get in. So of those 4, Harrison Smith has me the least confident in it. For Hyper 3 channel friend, do you think the Seahawks will make the playoffs because J.J. Watt, Aaron Donald are in their conference and because the Seahawks have a bad offensive line? Look, I am more concerned about the quarterback play. Like, yes, J.J. Watt is awesome and Aaron Donald are awesome too. But Donald's been in that conference for years. And the Seahawks have always been in the playoffs almost always. There was always a DeForest Buckner in that conference, right? So, yes, Donald and Watt are important. If the Seahawks don't make the playoffs, it's got less to do with the defensive line, which I actually think the offensive line is not that bad in Seattle. It has less to do with the presence of J.J. Watt and Aaron Donald, and more because Matthew Stafford and Kyler Murray were upgraded. So I think that's the area that you would be more concerned about if you're a Seahawks fan. From David Serta, Christian Kirk and a 3rd or 4th round pick for Gilmore. I don't have a great feel for what the trade value is of either of those guys, really. Maybe it's Christian Kirk and a 2nd or 3rd, but I think value-wise, actually in a pretty good spot there. So, David, I do like that trade idea at least a little bit. I don't know what the value is exactly, but I am intrigued by it. From Ma'am, this is a Wendy's, which, by the way, is not the quote. YouTube user, the full quote is dude. This is a Wendy's. It wasn't even sir, it was dude. Anyway, should the Falcons try to trade away Hayden Hurst? Are they going to plan on running 2 tight end sets? Is that their plan? If the answer is yes, then don't trade away Hayden Hurst. Now, don't get me wrong here. Kyle Pitts is the guy now for this team. Make no mistake about that. But, maybe that's not the path they end up pursuing. Maybe they want to use 2 tight ends. So, in the end, I'm open to it, but I think they probably keep him at least for now. All right, so your time to vote here. Good job, Jeremy. I'm getting this question in on the fly here. Should the Falcons trade Hayden Hurst? Get your votes in. Type T for trade him or type in K for keep. Get your votes in right now. From Robert Bruce, hello Tom, hello Jeremy. Do you think Patriots need a deep receiver threat besides Aguilar, Nelson Aguilar, and Kendrick Bourne or N'Keal Harry? I'm less worried about the vertical threat because they got that guy in Nelson Aguilar and Kendrick Bourne. I'm more concerned about a legitimate number 1 guy. That's the guy I would pursue if I were the Patriots. If it's via trade, that'd be great. At this point, it's a little bit tricky. For hype again here, when will Big Ben retire? By the way, we have a Steelers channel, folks, youtube.com/Steelers TV. I think Big Ben's going to give it 1 more year. I think after this season, when his contract is up, at that point, I think Big Ben calls it a career. So it's just this season for the Steelers. From the Wizard, great name. How soon are Lance and Fields thrown into the starting role for their teams? I think Lance, by the end of the year, if Jimmy Garoppolo struggles, I think they will make the move to Lance. Fields, I'm going to say by the midpoint of the season. I think that Jimmy Garoppolo probably a little bit better than Andy Dalton. I think Fields might be a little bit more ready than Trey Lance from just the jump of competition coming there. So, look, I am very curious to see which quarterback ends up getting the nod first, but we will see exactly what ends up happening in that area. From Cole Keller, I thought I'd heard that Rothschild was set to go up to 55 once the new CBA was ratified. Has it gone up or not? So I think what you're conflating with here is that during the week, teams can carry 55 players, and they could do that last year as well. However, the extra 2 guys come from the practice squad, and then they go back down afterwards. So if for all practical purposes, it is an expanded practice squad with 53-man rosters. That's where things are at as we sit. So appreciate the question there, Cole. Thank you very much. From KJ White, right burner 69. Okay, funny. Should the Seahawks go sign another center? I would explore it. I mean, I don't trust the offensive line for Seattle right now. I think that at least the center position, like Ethan Posick finally got a chance to start, but especially against the Rams and down the stretch, I thought he was bad. And I don't see real competition on this roster. Kyle Fuller? Not even the corner, but the center Kyle Fuller. I don't think the guy is there. So, look, I would pick up the phone. I'd be like, hey, I'm a little bit surprised that, maybe a Joe Looney or, I'm the Chiefs kid, forgot his name, but the former Chiefs center. I don't know why those guys haven't been signed yet, and I would bring them in. Oh, Austin Ryder, that's his name, Austin Ryder. I would bring in one of those guys if I were Seattle. So get your votes in for me. Does Seattle need another center option? Get your votes in for me. Type in Y for yes or type in N for no. All right, from Logan Davies, what do you think about the Browns? I think they're heading in the right direction. I believe in them, which is a very weird thing to say out loud. I was a year early on the hype train for them, but I think Cleveland's a good football team. And this is not your dad's Cleveland Browns. I think they're actually going to be good again this year, and I think for quite a while on top of that. All right, so there was a debate today in the Chat Sports studios here. Is a hot dog a sandwich? Get your votes in for me. Why for yes and for no? Now, producer Jeremy's like, oh, it's why. It's because Mark says why. Jeremy says yes. And Jeremy's wrong. A hot dog is not a sandwich. Just because you put bread on something doesn't make it a sandwich, Jeremy. Now, Jeremy wants to say something here. Okay. 3 components, got it. Bread. Some meat. Okay, meat substitute, I got it. And condiments. Okay, blah, blah, blah. You're not on, by the way, producer Jeremy. They cannot hear you, just so we're clear. So they cannot hear you. I don't know which headset which mic you're supposed to be plugged into, but they cannot hear you. So Jeremy's argument in the end here.
Here we go. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, there we go. 3 components to a sandwich: bread, meat or a substitute, or if you're a vegetarian, and condiments. What is a hot dog matter to?
What do you mean was a hot dog matter to it?
No, I said what is a hot dog made of? Those 3 components?
No. Jeremy, what is the meat called?
Condiments.
What is the name of the meat when you remove the bread?
Matter
Yes, it does.
What the meat is called.
Yes, it
does
does.
not matter.
Yes, it does. It absolutely does. Now, I will make this note here. First off, Joey Chestnut agrees with me because I've asked him about it. He agrees with me. Just because you put syrup on something, Jeremy, don't make it pancakes.
But burning spades, a burger is a sandwich as well.
Look, here is the end point. If you take away the bread, you have a hot dog. That is what you have. When you take away the bun from a hamburger, you have a hamburger. Now, no bun is weird without it, but if you take away a turkey sandwich's bread, you get turkey. It is not a sandwich. Everyone who says yes is wrong. It is no. A hot dog is not a sandwich. So I see the ends coming in here right now, so keep those coming. Y for yes, N for no. Make sure everything else is muted, by the way, producer Jeremy, just to be safe there. Get your votes in. Y for yes, N for no. You guys are watching NFL Daily, presented today by Manscaped. When you head over to manscaped.com/chat, you'll get 20% off and free shipping on all their fantastic men's grooming products. So go check that out today at manscaped.com/chat. We will make sure that link, folks, gets put in both the comment section and in the description to make your lives that much easier. We're talking Julio Jones trade destinations, the much promised and updated version after the NFL draft, because I forgot to do it. Anyway, the Falcons are willing to listen on Julio Jones trade offers. Now, in reality, this would be a post-June 1st trade. At that point, the Falcons would save about $20 million in salary cap space over the next 2 seasons. Now, if they did it right now, before June 1st, they would eat extra money. It's just not going to happen. Julio Jones, over his career, has always been I'm a bit banged up, but I play almost all the games and I ball out. But in 2020, wasn't quite the case. Only played in 9 games. He was, at least a little bit, limited throughout the year. Now, in that 9-game sample size, he still put up some pretty unreal numbers, averaged about 85.5 yards per game. So over the 16-game season, we're at almost 1,400 yards. So talent-wise, it is still very much there. And the reason why I remain unconvinced, despite the numerous rumors out there, that the Atlanta Falcons might trade Julio, and the reason why they might not do it is the presence and the lack thereof of other reliable receivers. I love Calvin Ridley. Don't get me wrong there. Russell Gage, a nice number 3 or number 4. But if you move on from Julio Jones, one of the Falcons' number 1 needs now becomes a receiver. So because of that, I'm not sold that Julio Jones will be anywhere other than Atlanta next season, or this season, I should say. So make your guesses known right now in the comments section. Speak your mind here for me. Where will Julio Jones play in 2021? Get your votes in right now. This is the pinned comments. If you get the ad break here on YouTube, scroll on down and get your votes in. Let's run through some Julio Jones trade destinations then, beginning with the New England Patriots. There is no way around it. We have to acknowledge it. The Patriots receiving corps is still not very good. They do not have a legit number one wide receiver. Julio Jones, if healthy, would be their best receiver in quite a while. And for New England, plenty of cap space if needed. N'Keal Harry has been a disappointment so far in his young NFL career. They signed Nelson Aguilar and Kendrick Bourne. And I like Jacoby Myers as a slot guy. Who is the guy that you go, oh man, we got to make sure our number one corner covers him and tries to lock him down, or we got to double this guy? Does not exist on this roster. There's no way around it there. So I have a trade idea here that you might like or hate. It's all good either way. The Patriots get Julio Jones. The Falcons fix one of their biggest needs with Stephon Gilmore, and Atlanta also gets a second-round pick. Now, I have a tough time identifying what exactly the value is for Stephon Gilmore. I'm not sure if this is too high or if it's too low or whatever, but I think this might be about right from that perspective. You get the second-round pick and Stephon Gilmore, you have to pay, brings down his value, but I like it there. So what I want you guys to do right now is to put your Julio Jones trade ideas in the comments section. Maybe you didn't like mine. It's all good. Take the opportunity right now, do the exact same, and let me know what you guys think with your Julio Jones trade ideas. Don't forget to put what team he's going to, by the way. The Tennessee Titans, another one of what I have as my clear-cut top two. They're not ranked, but I love the Titans and I love the Patriots on this list. Tennessee loses Corey Davis in free agency. They draft Dez Fitzpatrick in round 4. They sign Josh Reynolds, and they also cut Adam Humphries. So receiving core-wise, I believe Tennessee has taken a step back. Now, making the money work is tricky. But from a need perspective, if you compare A.J. Brown with Julio Jones, you're in great shape. The rest of these guys at receiver, I mean, it's not great, fellas. Josh Reynolds is more of a 3 as far as I'm concerned. And then fighting for wide receiver 3 right now is Cameron Batson, Westbrook Akini, Dez Fitzpatrick, maybe Chester Rogers, or other draft pick Racey McMath. I don't see a good number 2, and I barely see a good number 3 on this roster. So if I'm Tennessee, all in right now with their current roster and coaching staff, plus the familiarity of Arthur Smith in Atlanta, I'd at least make the call at that point. The new Lawnmower 4.0 is out. You can save 20% and get free shipping when you head to manscaped.com/chat. Don't forget to use the promo code chat either, mind you, because it helps it ensure you get that 20% off and the free shipping. But the Lawnmower 4.0, it's new and improved. Better ergonomic design, better charger, better lighting as well in case you got to do it at night or you're doing it in the shower or whatever, because it is waterproof, by the way, and multiple head designs as well. These are the best men's grooming products out there. So go get yours today and save some money along the way. It's manscaped.com/chat, and don't forget that promo code either, right there, bottom of your screen. To make your lives easier, we'll put the link in the comments section and the description as well. To the Las Vegas Raiders now, where, look, I mean, they are always connected to big-name receivers, and they get them sometimes as well. This current roster does not have a legit number 1 guy. Henry Ruggs is there, who I know they're excited about as a vertical threat, but John Brown, Hunter Renfrow, I'm excited about Bryan Edwards long-term, but he's not proven yet. Zay Jones, Willie Snead, Trey Quinn. It's not that good, if we're being honest. Julio Jones comes to town, though, and all of a sudden, Ruggs and Jones and Brown and Renfrow, and okay, that's a pretty good rotation there at that point. That actually does begin to intrigue me. So I like that idea for the Raiders going out and getting Julio Jones. Now, they do have to get creative with the money, but I think it is at least a possibility they could make it work. So I have a trade package here as well. I got who's he's like a first round value is what I'm trying to go for there. So I don't want to just do a first round pick. I want to get different there, but for like Titans and whatever, it's your first rounder probably, if not more than that. Falcons get Bryan Edwards and 2 second-round picks. Now, I've seen some other reports out there from Albert Breer, Peter King, that a straight-up second might get it done, and that makes no sense to me. So because of that, I'm giving up more than what other reporters have suggested there. Edwards is now roll-blocked, if you will, with Julio Jones on the team, plus 2 seconds. It's not a bad offer if the Falcons are selling Julio Jones at what it appears he's being vetted, which I think is pretty weird. So get your votes in right now for me, folks. Will the Falcons trade away Julio Jones? Type Y for yes, they will, or type N for no, they will not. Get your votes and make your voice heard right now in the comments section. All right, I got 4 more teams. We'll go a little bit faster, though, on these. The Indianapolis Colts. They could use, as far as I'm concerned, another proven receiver. Now, their biggest issue is that the Carson Wentz trade does hurt their draft capital, and Chris Ballard isn't ever fully going all in from that perspective. Now, here's what the Colts have right now. Aging T.Y. Hilton, promising young receiver Michael Pittman, injured Paris Campbell, and then a bunch of guys. If you guys can name 3 of these players, I'll be very impressed. Zach Pascal, Mike Strong's a 7th-round rookie, Dez Patman, J.J. Nelson is fast, Ashton Dulin is kind of like Mike Strong there in terms of able to make some plays and being a good size, height, weight, speed player. Tyler Vaughn's I've never liked that much. Gary Jennings was a 5th-round pick or whatever. Courtney Davis was hyped as an undrafted guy who hasn't done anything. Same with Tariq Black. So proven talent-wise, there's like 3.5, maybe 3 maybe. I'd go explore Julio Jones trade if I were them. So are you guys subscribed? If so, type in yes. If not, type in L, because you're a loser. Now, we can get that changed. It's life. Some people win, some people lose. It's football. But if you want to be a winner, all you got to do is subscribe right now here to Chat Sports. The Detroit Lions now, who, of the teams we're going through, my God, do they need wide receiver help. Like in the absolute worst way. This team is not setting Jared Goff up for success. Now, they have the draft capital, both in terms of volume, thanks to the Rams Jared Goff, Matthew Stafford trade, and the likelihood they're probably going to be early draft picks. But I wonder if Detroit will hoard those, if they are more concerned about rebuilding and keeping their draft capital. But purely from a need perspective, oh my God, the Lions receiving core is trash. Like, I am sorry, Detroit fans, if you've bought into this. It's horrible. Tyrell Williams has been banged up for 2 years and was never a number 1. Brashad Perryman is a vertical threat. Amon-Ra St. Brown's a nice little slot receiver as a rookie. Quintez Stevens is a decent receiver 4. The problem is there a single wide receiver 2 on this roster? I think they're all receiver 3s or worse. I think in reality, the Detroit Lions have the worst wide receiver core in the NFL. Now, you guys can get your votes in here as to what you guys think it is. And maybe Julio Jones would rather not ever play for Detroit, but need-wise, I had to include him because I think the Lions are in really, really rough shape there. Let's go to the L.A. Chargers now as a potential trade fit here for Julio Jones. This would be going all in on expensive pieces while Justin Herbert is cheap and on his rookie contract. And let's think about it. Julio Jones, Keenan Allen, it's a great 1-2 punch, man. That's like one of the better ones in the NFL. Allen can do some underneath stuff. Julio can do the vertical stuff. Both can flip-flop those roles too. It's awesome. Now, I don't consider receiver to be this team's biggest need. And if you were to go get Julio Jones, you would probably have to do something with the contract of Mike Williams. Either send him to Atlanta as part of the deal or, potentially restructure him or extend him or whatever. But Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, and Julio Jones, or even just Keenan and Julio, That's very intriguing if you're LA. And I like Mike Williams, but I don't think he's ever quite been able to produce, in part because of injuries, in the way that the Chargers were hoping he was going to when he was the first-round pick out of Clemson. So, good football player, has value, but if they were to get Julio, he might have to go as part of that trade. All right, rapid fire now on these last two teams that I wanted to mention. If you want to keep Aaron Rodgers happy, maybe trading for Julio Jones is a way to do that. Now, you'd have to probably extend and or restructure Adams and or Aaron Rodgers, but you're adding Julio Jones. It's probably something that you should try to do anyway. The last team I wanted to mention here, the San Francisco 49ers. Now, they are always linked to Julio Jones because of Kyle Shanahan. And it's a fun idea to go out and get Julio and put him with Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk, and it's awesome, and Kittle and Trey Lance, and they win the NFC West again, blah, blah, blah. They don't have the draft picks. Unless Julio Jones' value is like a singular second-round pick, I don't see any way in which the Niners could actually compete in a potential bidding war for Julio Jones. All right, more debate here because I'm going to stoke the comments section in the end. Do you believe in aliens? Get your votes in. Y for yes, N for no. Let me sip some water here. Producer Jeremy was asking, what's alien? I'm going to go with intelligent life. How about that? Intelligent life. No, it cannot be like just singular life out there. Because I think you and I are both going to be like, yes, it's too big not to, right? But intelligent life. It does not have to be the little green men if you don't want it to be. But do you believe in aliens? 1 for yes, 0 for no. You're muted, Jeremy. Jeremy, you're muted. Oh, you're talking to me. Okay.
If no, how big is your ego thinking that we're the smartest people in the whole universe?
Okay. I see a pretty even split here. We're having fun today because I got bored. I'm like, this will be funny. By the way, as a side, as your votes come in here, Y for yes or 1 for yes, 0 for no. You guys been seeing that UFO stuff? You've been following this 60 Minutes conversations? Oh, dude, Google it. It's pretty interesting there. So get your votes in. 1 for yes, 0 for no. Do you guys believe in aliens? Keep the votes coming here as we get to our final mailbag of the day. 2 ways to get on the show. Number 1, you can just use hashtag NFL. Makes life a lot easier for producer Jeremy to find your questions. Or you guys can super chat, and then that'll help you jump the line, if you will, to get on the show. That mailbag's coming up right now. All the questions that you're about to see on today's NFL mailbag are from our live audience here at Chat Sports. So if you want to be a part of the show, if you want to get your questions featured here, you've got to subscribe. That way you don't miss out on anything here at Chat Sports. Hit that big red button and join us today. A super chat from Burnin' Spades. Just curious, which is the most overrated teams, also most underrated teams for the upcoming season for both you and Jeremy? You know what I think we should do? Burnin' Spades, how about we make this a future video? How about we do top overrated and top underrated teams in the future? So I'll keep that in mind. I know you're subscribed, so stay tuned for it. From Gary Sanderson, replacements for coaches that will get fired. My number 1 guy is still where we're at. I still believe that. Appreciate that one very much. All right, so we'll get some more questions here in just a second. You guys can type in AD for Aaron Donald or JW for JJ Watt. From War and Pizza, who makes a bigger impact for the Dolphins as a rookie? Jalen Waddle or Jalen Phillips? Good question. I'm going to go with Jalen Phillips. I think he is going to play a higher percentage of the snaps relative to Waddle. Both of them are going to make an impact. Like Waddle and Fuller and Parker are going to play a ton. But I think Phillips, as the instant pass rusher 2, as opposed to wide receiver 3 for Miami, is going to make the bigger impact this year. Week 1, it might be Waddle since Will Fuller's suspended, though. But overall for the season, get your votes in. Who will have the bigger 2021 impact? Type JW, Jalen Waddle, or type in JP for Jalen Phillips. Get your votes in right now in the comments section. All right, from Leo Alder, excuse me. Is Tre'Davious White a good comp for Kelvin Joseph? Michael Bennett for Osa Odigizua. Both ceilings there. I think Bennett's a bit of a high ceiling for Osa, but I think role-wise, you've actually probably got a pretty good comparison from that perspective. I might throw out somebody like maybe a Jonathan Joseph for Kelvin Joseph, and I think that's maybe more ceiling. Low end maybe is Eli Apple, but I think that's pretty decent comparisons there. From Mark Mulo, hey Tom, who are your 2021 Hall of Fame or 2022 Hall of Fame picks? So the 2021 one has already been announced here. The 2022 class, let me think here. I would love to see Bengals safety Ken Riley finally get in. I don't think this 2022 class is quite as good, but I would love to see, one of those guys get in. I think Ken Riley is long overdue to be a Hall of Famer. I believe that Steve Smith is now eligible. That's intriguing to me. I don't know if he's a pure Hall of Famer. DeMarcus Ware, I believe, is now eligible. And I'll throw out the name like Torrey Holt as well, the receiver from the LA Rams. Now, this next question is more rookie-focused here, but it's up to you guys to answer it. So, predict the future for me. Who will win Rookie of the Year? Is it going to be Trevor Lawrence? Is it Justin Fields, Trey Lance, Mac Jones, or somebody else altogether? Get your votes in for me in the comments section. Who will it be? Get your votes in right now in the comments section. This is the pinned comment, so if you get the ad break here on YouTube, scroll on down and get your votes in. From Day, dark horse playoff team this year. Do the Cardinals don't count. Do the Bears count as a dark horse playoff team? I think it's a little bit tricky in terms of identifying what a dark horse is in this day in the NFL. But from teams who did not make it last year, I think the Cowboys are very obvious. Does Minnesota count? Can I go with the Vikings? I'm going to go with Minnesota to that question. If I'm cheating, well, I'm sorry. C-Luck Media. Julio to Detroit for Amon-Ra St. Brown and a first, second, or third. I don't think the Lions would trade away a guy that they just drafted. But I think you're probably in the right ballpark there for a receiver. If they were willing to move Amon-Ra St. Brown and it's a first and a day 2 pick, if Julio wants to be there, I say yes. Because that receiving core for the Detroit Lions is very much in desperate need of help and assets. From Carroll McDarrell, where would you rank the Broncos defense? I'd say somewhere in the top 8, top 7 category. If Von Miller is healthy, I think that's a good path to pursue. I think they'd be a top team. They linebackers a bit iffy, but Von Miller, Bradley Chubb, they got some good interior guys as well. And that secondary is among the best in the NFL. So I think at minimum top 10, if the offense holds up its end of the bargain, I think statistically it could be a top 5 unit for Denver this season. So what do you guys think? Will the Denver Broncos have a top 10 defense? Type in Y for yes, they will. Or you can type in N for no, they will not. Get your votes in right now for me in the comments section. Will the Denver Broncos have a top 10 defense? From PM YouTubers, who will have the better career, CeeDee Lamb or Justin Jefferson? Also, do you think Simi Fehoko can be Sutton? That is his absolute ceiling. And in reality, the day 3 guy is probably not going to reach that. But athletic-wise and frame-wise and just play style-wise, there are some similarities there. As for better career, I'm still going to go CeeDee Lamb, but I do mean that as any slight against Justin Jefferson. I think Lamb and Jefferson, as we sit after year one, are the top 2 receivers from that class. Like, those are the 2 best guys for the receiving class from last year. From Tyrone Sankey, can this trade happen? Cowboys give up Anthony Brown and a 3rd rounder for Isaiah Simmons. Cardinals say no. I don't believe that Arizona is going to utilize Isaiah Simmons properly, but I don't see them moving on from a top 10 pick for a number 3 or number 4 corner and a 3rd round pick. Arizona says no on that one. C-Luck Media says Kyle Pitts for Rookie of the Year. I like that one. Now, historically speaking, rookie tight ends do not produce very well. There's a learning curve. They're often on not great teams, especially the first rounders, and they struggle a little bit. But if Kyle Pitts is in year one, what I think he could be, he's definitely going to be in the conversation there for Rookie of the Year. So, see, look, I appreciate that question very much. All right, do you guys want to be a part of these live mailbags? Look, we're live on Monday, we're live on Wednesday, and at other points as well. So if you want to join us here, hit that big red button and subscribe. That way you don't miss our live shows, and you can either super chat or use hashtag NFL in the comments section to get your questions on the show. T&B Productions, who are you rooting for to win the linebacker battle, Jalen or Leighton Vander Esch? I just want one of them to be good. Both those guys were not that good last year. Down the stretch, I'd argue Jalen was actually outplaying Leighton Vander Esch. With what the roles I think will be, I think right now, Leighton Vander Esch is probably the favorite to be that guy for the Dallas Cowboys. I think Micah Parsons is one of them. LVE is the other one. King Tut, hottest NFL take. We actually did this one on a previous mailbag from Monday. It is that you should never, ever punt. You should always go for it on 4th down, and that you should go for it for 2 as well. Score all of the points, screw position. If you're being aggressive, if you're good, which of course is the assumption here, I think that's the route that they end up going. From Cole, Patrick Surtain could win defensive rookie of the year. My bad. That's coming from a Chiefs fan, by the way. I think there's a real possibility. I think it's guys like Surtain, J.C. Horn, Micah Parsons, maybe a Jalen Phillips is in that conversation as well. But I agree, Cole. I do think Patrick Surtain is among the favorites to win Defensive Rookie of the Year this upcoming season. From Day, most interesting quarterback storyline this season. He says the Bears one. It's a good one. I would argue the ones with a rookie quarterback, right? The Bears, the Falcons, or not the Falcons, the Niners with Trey Lance and Jimmy Garoppolo. And I'll also throw in Mac Jones versus Cam Newton for the Patriots. From Robert Bruce, who will be the week 1 starter for the Patriots? Mac Jones or Cam Newton? I'm still going to go Cam Newton for now. I think it's a bit of a toss-up there. I think that they're going to let Mac Jones try to win that job. Clearly, long-term, that role is going to go to Mac Jones. But at the beginning of this year, with a healthy, in theory, Cam Newton, I think Newton will be the guy in year 1. Easy, Mac, and please. Jalen Hurts, can he be a franchise quarterback? He can be. If I'm betting one way or the other, I'm going to go with no. I think that no, Jalen Hurts is not a franchise quarterback. And producer Jeremy, an Eagles fan, says no. So I think, you were going like this. Oh, okay. Jeremy says yes. I disagree with him. I think the answer ends up being no. Sure, he can be. Will he? I'm going to go with no on that one. From Akil, rank the Cowboys O-line if everyone is 100% healthy the entire year. That was the problem last year, right? That they did not have any depth on the offensive line. And they were so decimated by injuries, they were just kind of screwed. Like, they were down to tackle 5 at one point this year. That's unheard of. So if everyone is healthy, it's probably a top 10, top 15 unit, if not top 5, if everyone is healthy. There is, of course, no guarantee from that perspective. So if the entire offensive line is able to stay healthy, I'd say top 10 is probably a pretty good area for that one. Now, if we did not get to your question, it's all good. Hit me up on Twitter at WhatGoingDowney. The link is right there at the bottom of your screen. My DMs are open, so if you got questions, you can get your votes in and let me know what you think. All right, before we go, where will Julio Jones play in 2021? Make your predictions for me right now in the comments section. Is it going to be the Falcons? Is it going to be somewhere else? Is it not going to be a Patriots, Titans? We will break down on a future video the Julio Jones destinations. But get your votes in for me right now in the comments section. Now, we're not going to go to Loop today. We have the NBA Lakers-Warriors play-in game coming up, so we're going to end the stream so we can get ready for that one here. But make sure you guys are subscribed. That way you don't miss out. So are you guys subbed? Get your votes in for me in the comments section right now. Type in Y for yes you are, or type in N for no. So we'll play that out of the intro video here one time, Jeremy, to wrap things up. Get your votes in. Y for yay, N for nay. Are you guys subscribed? Let me know what you guys think here in the comments section. We're about to head out here. The intro video will play one time, and that will do it for today's live show.